Okay, I want to finish up with you folks here using Grad filters. Now these are very, very useful, absolutely essential for landscape photography and absolutely essential when you guys are shooting digital, okay? Now, neutral density Grads, we just talked about neutral density solids. Neutral density Grads are the same idea, but as you guys can see, only the top half is dark. See that? The bottom half is clear. The idea is we can put that transition on our horizon, and then we can get a nice transition to hold back the sky, which is always going to be way brighter than your landscape, and let the landscape exposure come through untouched, okay? Now these also come in hard and soft transitions. They're subtle in their difference, but a softer transition is going to have a more even, gradated effect from top to bottom. The hard is going to have more of an abrupt change. Now, it might sound like this is too rough, but generally you're going to actually want to use hard Grad filters when you're doing landscapes. You'll usually have a fairly even landscape or horizon. The hard works perfect for that. Now, I'm going to use the soft Grad in this particular example here to hold back the sun, which is also in my frame. A hard edge would show up in the sky as too clean, too even a stop. I'm going to use the soft transition to blend the sky naturally across to hold back that sun. Anyways, before we do that, you are going to need to use your holder systems. Now, Coke & P is one of the more affordable systems out there, and it's a nice simple system, and it's also great when you're using smaller lenses with smaller filter diameters. However, you may find that as you get into bigger, more professional lenses or larger filter diameters, that this just won't cut it. The filters that go in here just won't be big enough to fully cover your transitions. You're not always going to have your horizon right in the middle. In fact, that's probably the worst place to put it. If you want your horizon high to the sky or low to the ground, this is just not going to give you the traverse that you need for that Grad filter. So that brings us to your next step. Lee 4x6 filter holders that we carry, or Coke & Z 4x6 holder systems. These will hold 4x6 inch size Grad filters. Much bigger size. That has the coverage you need for more professional lenses or more wide angle lenses. Now, here's our 4x6s. I'm going to throw these away because I'm going to do this by hand just for speed to show you this. Okay. Now, let's take our first shot. As you guys can see from this scene here, we've got a nice river, we've got a nice landscape in the foreground, and we've got this clean horizon with the bridge, but that sky comes out too bright. Now if I take my shot here, yeah, I can see the river, I can see underneath the bridge, but that sky's too bright. Digital cameras do a terrible job with what we call dynamic range. They're not able to shoot both dark and bright in the same scene. If you guys have ever shot a sunset, you've seen this. You get a beautiful sunset, but then the whole landscape pitch black, a complete silhouette. Now you were there, you were able to see your house, you were able to see the fields, you were able to see your friends. It's the camera's dynamic range. It just can't handle such a big split in exposure. That's where these come in. If you put this darker part of the filter over your sky or over your sunset, you're going to bring it down in exposure so that now the camera can get the two in one shot. You're basically reducing the contrast for the scene so that the camera's limited dynamic range can handle it. Let's take a shot here now with our two-stop hard Grad to hold back that sky. I can literally see the transition in the frame, so I'm simply going to bring it down until I'm happy with it, take the shot, and much better. I can still see the landscape exactly the same as it was before, but now that sky is much darker. Still, we have another issue. We've got the sun up in the top right. Now the sun is very bright and it's blowing itself out. It's just way too bright up in the sky there. Here's where a soft Grad can come in. I'm going to use a 3-stop soft Grad in conjunction with the 2-stop hard Grad. I'm going to put this at a 45-degree angle, just like that. Now the idea is, the landscape's going to be dropped down, the sky's going to be darkened, and then this softer transition is going to selectively go over that top right corner of my photograph and control the sun. Now when I take the shot, the sun should look a little bit more dramatic. And as you can see there now, we get a nice rich sky, we get the foreground that we want, it hasn't changed at all, and now I can see the sun. I get a nice corona effect, and everything looks more natural the way I would see it with my own eyes. These are essential. There's just no way you can do this in Photoshop. If the sky's blown out beyond your dynamic range, or if the foreground in your sunset is completely black, there's no amount of processing which is going to bring that detail back. It's gone. You got to get it in the first shot. All right, guys, so hopefully what you've seen is there's a lot of practical filters you can use for your digital camera. And remember that although we can do a lot of great stuff in Photoshop after the fact when we've taken the photo, nothing beats shooting the photo in the first place with a good filter. There's no way that you can replicate that motion blur with a slow shutter speed properly, or polarize your sky to make it darker and kill unwanted reflections, or hold back that extra bright sky to match the dynamic range of the landscape for your camera. So remember, good practical filters, try them out, they're easy to use, and they're essential for your digital camera.